A man with a red beard is camping alone in the snow. Suddenly, someone dressed in a suit approaches his camp. This bearded man looks up from his drink, noticing his visitor. He asks why the guy is dressed so lightly for the cold. This visitor holds up a phone, identifying the man as Simon Jones. Simon asks if Union sent him, and the man confirms it. Simon realizes he is talking to the legendary hitman Jay. Jay says he heard about Simon from a mutual acquaintance, Johnny. Simon mentions that Johnny is the only friend he has. He then asks if Jay and Johnny are from the same country. After an awkward exchange, Simon asks if he sounded racist. These two men just stare at the crackling campfire. Their brief, friendly conversation is definitely over. All of a sudden, the campfire bursts into a huge flame. Jay leaps right through the fire, attacking Simon with a wire. This man in black lands a kick, sending his opponent flying. But the bearded man manages to grab the glowing weapon. He immediately swings it back down towards his target. This man in black raises his own blade to block it. His eyes glow blue as he stares his opponent down. He is somehow stopping the massive weapon with a small knife. This bearded man puts all his weight into the attack, but the man in black easily pushes the blade away. His opponent is completely stunned by his raw power. This bearded man swings again, his weapon now glowing red. This man in black parries the strike with his knife. He follows up with a quick slash to the man's arm. This bearded man recoils, clutching his wounded arm. He tries one last desperate swing, but it is too wide. This man in black knocks the weapon right out of his hand. This guy in the suit blocks the axe with his own. He then swings back with a powerful counterattack. His axe drips with blood after landing the hit. He stands over the fallen man, who admits he is legendary. This man asks if he is here because he sided with Johnny. This hitman confirms Union is not happy about Johnny's new company, but the man says they want to wipe out Johnny's entire crew. This hitman then asks the dying man for his honest opinion. He starts explaining how Union controls all the contract killings. This forced all the hitmen to basically grovel for jobs. They were even disrespected by regular Union staff. He then asks the dying man a question. Does he really think Union is in the wrong? This hitman says he does not make those kinds of judgments. This dying man seems to accept his fate. This winged man says he is looking forward to what is next. And with that, the lone fighter walks away through the snow. He sits down, just trying to process everything that happened. Meanwhile, we cut to the Union headquarters in the city. Inside, two agents confirm they have sent out the target's info. A man named Jay gets the mission details on his phone. This target is a killer from Canada named Johnny Wong. It turns out Jay already knows this guy, Johnny. Johnny had been super friendly to him from the very start. See, Union sometimes pairs up killers for team-based jobs. They actually met for the first time during one of those missions. Johnny introduced himself, and the other man said he is Jay. Johnny thought it was fate they were partnered up. He even suggested they be friends, but Jay said he has none. Johnny just smiles, saying that is perfect, now he has one. Johnny tells him this is his chance to finally make a friend. And over time, Johnny became his only close colleague. Jay remembers them having drinks at a bar one night. Johnny asked if he wanted to become an even closer colleague. He then proposed that they become business partners. See, Johnny was planning to start his own company. He was sick of working for Union and paying their fees. He tried to convince Jay they could do something amazing together, but Jay just flat out rejected the offer. He believes that work is something you should do alone. Johnny was not surprised, saying he figured Jay would say that. He just felt like he needed to ask him anyway. Then he warned Jay that Union might one day send him to kill him. Back in the present, Jay finally understands what he meant. This agent clarifies the target is Johnny's entire company. This job pays a whopping $25 million. Jay asks why they do not just use their own forces. His handler explains they want to avoid casualties, and out of all the hitmen, they trust Jay the most. Jay accepts, but he has one condition for them. In exchange for destroying the company, they must spare Johnny. He knows they are in a tough spot without him. This handler agrees to the deal so long as Jay succeeds. Later, Jay is walking through the city alone. He wonders why he even bothered to save Johnny's life. Maybe he just wanted to be the one to kill him. Suddenly, a young boy runs up to him selling bracelets. This kid says one of them has a mysterious power. Jay seems a little curious and asks what it does. This boy says it gives you the power to live a new life. Back in the past, Jay decides to take the bracelet. He puts it on, thinking it is time for a change. But first, he has to finish his current job. This mission will pay him $25 million. He wonders what he would do after retiring. Honestly, he has never really considered it before. Meanwhile, Johnny looks out over the city. Just then, Jay walks right into his office. Johnny offers him a drink, looking exhausted. Jay just takes the glass and downs it, then he crushes the glass in his bare hand. He tells Johnny that his company is finished, but Johnny just smirks, saying Jay looks rough. He then throws his own drink right at Jay. Jay easily dodges the incoming glass. Jay looks up, completely caught off guard. This guy in the vest rushes in with a glowing kick. He sends Jay flying back across the room. Then he pulls out a knife from his belt. He stands over Jay, who cannot seem to move. Grabbing him by the collar, he starts screaming. He then shoves the knife right into Jay's side. With glowing red eyes, he asks why Jay is after him. This blade presses right against Jay's throat. But suddenly, Jay's eye starts glowing blue. He grabs the man's arm, his own hand glowing brightly. In a flash, he completely shatters the knife. His opponent is just stunned by what happened. Jay immediately follows up with a hard punch, and just like that, the guy is knocked out cold. Jay considers crippling the guy so he cannot fight back, but he realizes he has taken way too much damage himself. Just then, someone starts clapping, sounding impressed. Jay looks up, demanding to know who the hell it is. A man in a suit walks in with a squad of armed men. Immediately, laser sights lock onto both Jay and Johnny. This leader calls Jay an acquaintance as his men take aim. A bullet suddenly flies right past Jay's head. He turns around, completely shocked they are shooting. Jay screams that they had a deal to spare Johnny. He clutches his side, clearly in a lot of pain. This man in the suit just tells him not to get worked up. Jay just glares back at him, absolutely furious. This man simply says that this is just business. He explains that Union sees exceptional people like them as a threat. Johnny says Jay is a threat to his business, but Jay just screams back in a rage. Suddenly, hidden turrets pop up and open fire. Jay gets completely shredded by the bullets. He falls to the ground, seemingly dead. But then the bracelet on his wrist starts glowing. It seems to activate some kind of strange power. A blue butterfly of light flies out from his hand. Jay's vision suddenly changes to a street at night. He is somehow alive, wondering what is going on. He is now at the scene of a car accident. This driver is drunk, and Jay realizes he is in Korea. It seems he is in the body of the guy who just died. This drunk driver is startled by Jay's voice, and Jay immediately lands a hard punch to his face. We cut to a guy in a hoodie stomping someone out. He just brutally stomps the man's face in. Then he gets in a car, thinking he died in America. Now he is somehow woken up in a new body in Korea. He vows to get revenge on the business that killed him. Driving away, he starts to process that he is in Korea. He knows he cannot exactly drive back to America. Besides, the group he is after is not easy to find. He is just completely overwhelmed by the whole situation. For now, he decides to find this body's home and rest. He starts thinking about how hitmen gather information. These days, all the info you need is on a smartphone. Hacking is hard, but not when you have the owner's face. And just like that, the phone unlocks for him. He soon arrives at the apartment of the body's owner. He finds the address of the guy whose body he is in. Checking the fridge, he finds nothing but a water bottle. He learns the body belongs to a 27-year-old named Jin Yihyun. It turns out Jin Yihyun had a really tough life. After finishing the water, he just tosses the bottle away. And to top it all off, he was killed by a drunk driver. Suddenly, someone starts banging loudly on his door. He checks his phone, wondering who it is this late. Opening the door, he finds 3 men in suits waiting. They grab him, demanding to know about his missed payments. He realizes these must be the loan sharks Jin borrowed from. He takes a quick peek out into the hallway. It seems like the noise woke up his neighbor. She just complains about the noise and shuts her door. This loan sharks then barge in and start searching his apartment. This loan shark dangles the car keys, angry about the debt. Jay calmly offers them the car, suggesting they go outside. One of the other guys gets mad at his attitude, but the leader holds him back, telling him to wait. They agree they cannot go back to their boss empty-handed, so they all head outside to check out the car. This leader whispers to his guy to lowball the offer. He tells Jay the car will barely cover the interest. Jay reminds them the car is obviously wrecked from an accident. He then asks if they can really judge it from the outside. Suddenly, he grabs one of the guys by the head. He tells him to check the inside, smashing his face into the window. This other 2 loan sharks are completely shocked. As the first guy drops, they call Jay a crazy bastard. Jay immediately follows up with a hard kick to the next guy. Jay lands a solid punch on one of the goons. This leader just stands there as his men go down. He knows guys like this usually have 2 choices. They either run or make one desperate move. Jay thinks for a second the guy has a gun, but he just pulls out a knife and rushes in. This man swings the blade right down at him. Jay easily dodges, sending the knife flying. This leader looks up, completely stunned. Jay immediately follows up with a hard punch, then he just stomps the guy into the ground. He casually catches the falling knife. And he stabs it right through the leader's hand. Jay warns him that next time he will kill him, then he tells him to take the car and get lost. This lone shark drives off, completely shaken. He glances back at Jay, wondering what his deal is. He cannot believe Jay let them go after beating them up. Jay just wanted to get rid of the car so he could rest. He finally gets back to his quiet apartment, but before he can even sit down, someone is there. It is his neighbor, the woman from before. She tells him that she saw everything that happened. She was watching, ready to call the police for him. Jay asks if she's going to report him instead, but she just says she is curious about him now. He is too tired for this and says he needs to sleep. With that, he just closes the door in her face. Finally alone, he collapses right onto his bed. He immediately falls into a deep sleep. Sometime later, Jay is sleeping in his new bed. He wakes up feeling hungry and decides to get a burger. So he heads out to a nearby 24-hour fast food joint. Eating the burger reminds him of his old partner, Johnny. He remembers asking Johnny why he always chose this place. Jay thought his taste was a bit too simple for a world traveler, but Johnny explained that the burgers taste the same everywhere. Even the fries are standardized across the globe. This way, he'd never get sick from unfamiliar food on a mission. Plus, being open 24/7 was perfect for their line of work. Jay found it annoying how right Johnny always was. Back in the present, he thinks about how Johnny is now dead. They both got killed, but somehow only Jay came back. Just then, a woman sits down across from him looking starved. She says she barely came back to life and Jay is confused. Jay just wonders who this strange woman is. At that moment, his hand starts glowing again. He looks down, totally confused by the light. He has no idea why this is happening all of a sudden. Then he sees the woman's hand is glowing too. She looks just as surprised as he is. They both stand up and stare at each other. She asks if his name is Jay, which completely shocks him. Jay realizes she must be like him in a new body. She then asks if he is Johnny, his dead partner. She tells him that she is actually Johnny. Suddenly, she lunges at him, screaming he killed Johnny. Jay is completely blindsided by the accusation. She tackles him right to the floor of the restaurant. Pinning him down, she says he was unconscious when he died. Jay is getting choked out trying to explain himself. She tells him it was not him, but a group called Union. Turns out Union is the group that killed both of them. Just then, an employee tells them they cannot do this here. They awkwardly stop as the worker just stands there with his mop. He is clearly just trying to clean the floor. This guy mutters that they should just get a room. Now sitting down, the woman says she is jealous. She is mad he destroyed her company but claimed it was to save her. Jay just calls her messed up while eating his burger. They both wonder how they even ended up in this situation. Jay immediately thinks back to that glowing bracelet. She asks if he ever bought a weird bracelet and he remembers he did. He recalls the seller saying it gives you a new life. Jay then shows her his own wrist, revealing he bought one too. This woman asks Jay what he is going to do now. Jay says they will pay back the ones who killed them with interest. But she clarifies, asking what he is doing right this second. She asks if he has found the home of the body he is in. She suggests they go there since she is too tired to find her own. She explains she is exhausted from digging herself out of the ground. It turns out she literally woke up buried in the earth. All she wants is to wash up and sleep, which makes sense to Jay. So they head back to Jay's new apartment. This woman immediately hops in the shower to get clean. Meanwhile, Jay just sits on the bed, lost in thought. Later, they are walking outside and she brings up their past. She says she would have hated him if he'd left her alive but crippled. She then asks if he still hates her enough to want to kill her. Jay just looks at her and simply says no. She stretches, saying he has already paid for his choice, but Jay just wonders if he has really learned anything. Suddenly, he hears someone in his shower enjoying the hot water. He's about to say he is done washing up, but then he freezes. This woman from the restaurant walks out in just a towel. Jay immediately freaks out, covering his eyes. She just asks if she should put her dirty clothes back on, so he just throws his jacket at her to wear instead. This light in the room turns off for the night. They end up sleeping in the same room, him on the bed. Lying on the floor, she asks how he will pay them back. He says he's going to get revenge on Union for everything. When she asks how, he just says it is business. He tells her to sleep, saying they have plenty of time. Elsewhere, someone in a taxi is heading to Johnny's place. To be clear, they are going to the home of Johnny's new body. In the car, Johnny complains about being stuck in a woman's body. Jay just jokes that he was better looking in his old body. Then Johnny realizes they are both speaking perfect Korean. She figures it is just a weird side effect of their new lives. Soon enough, the taxi pulls up to their destination. They both get out and stare at the place. Turns out her new body came with a huge mansion. So Johnny goes ahead and rings the doorbell. A voice on the intercom is shocked to hear from her. Jay seems a little worried by this strange reaction, but then her dad's voice tells them to open the gate. This gate swings open and Johnny looks pretty happy. She tells Jay she will see him later to finish their talk. Now Johnny has to pretend to be family with total strangers. Jay lies in bed, thinking it is lucky he is in a loner's body. He checks the phone, confirming the guy had no one. It reminds him that he was the same way before he died. He lived his old life with no family or friends. But then he figures Johnny would get mad at that thought. Right on cue, there is a knock at his door. He cautiously opens it just a crack to see who it is. Suddenly, a knife comes slashing right at him. Jay quickly ducks, dodging the blade. This attacker is a man in a hat and glasses. He brings the knife down for another strike, but Jay just grabs his wrist, stopping the attack. He completely halts the blade with his bare hand. This attacker looks totally shocked by his strength. Jay immediately moves in for a counterattack. A knife suddenly stabs right through a water bottle. An intruder in a hat and glasses is in the apartment. He lunges at Jay, who just turns to face him. But Jay's eyes just glow with a strange blue light. He instantly lands a powerful punch to the guy's gut. This intruder completely crumples from the single blow. Now on the floor, Jay asks him who sent him. He grabs the man's bloody face, looking for answers. With a menacing look, he asks if it was Union. This intruder is terrified, his glasses completely cracked. This scene flashes back to the knife hitting the bottle. This intruder had tried to stab Jay from behind, but Jay was way too fast, knocking his glasses off. This guy is now just a beaten mess on the floor. He denies it, saying Union does not even know he is here. A flashback shows a man holding a knife to a beaten guy. Without hesitating, he moves in to strike. He plunges the knife right into the man's head. Then he calmly asks who sent the guy. This man gurgles, trying to answer the question. Back in the present, Johnny is with the body's family. This father is scolding her for being gone for so long. Johnny notices her siblings do not look worried, just scared. She is convinced they were involved in the real Somi's death. Meanwhile, the brother is outside, panicking on the phone. He is yelling that the girl he paid to have killed is back. This person on the other end tells him to check the gate camera. They see footage of Somi arriving and then leaving with a man. His contact says they will have to get rid of the man too. This brother absolutely loses it over them asking for more money. He complains that he paid for a job that was not done right. Just then his sister Jukyeong walks up to him. She asks what is going on and he just blames the contractor. He then says maybe it is all for the best, but she tells him to stop, saying Somi is still their sister. He argues that Somi is just a mistress's child. Jukyeong reminds him how their mom got sick because of Somi. She worries their dad will give Somi the entire company. Her brother suddenly loses his temper and yells at her. He then tells her he is doing all of this for her. Meanwhile, back at Jay's apartment, Jay realizes Somi's killer also sent this hitman after him. He thinks about killing him but decides it is too much trouble. This attacker is completely terrified of Jay. He cannot believe how fast and strong this guy is. This attacker thinks he can still ambush Jay, but Jay already has a knife to his throat. He tells him that is not going to work. Jay can just feel what he is planning to do. He asks the terrified man if he wants to live. Jay then tells him to leave and say he was not home. He also warns him to never take a job involving them again. If he ever shows his face again, he is dead. With that, Jay just slams the door shut. Outside, the attacker gets a call from his client. He lies, saying the target was not even there. Then he quits the job and offers a refund. Back at the mansion, the brother is on the other end. He is furious that the hitman is backing out. Suddenly, Johnny walks up right behind him. Her brother watches her walk away, clutching his phone. He angrily tells his contact to find a new killer. Meanwhile, Johnny is going through Somi's phone to get answers. She learns the father is Han Kyung-moon, chairman of HK Group, and the older siblings are from his first wife. Apparently, the father's youngest daughter was just murdered yesterday. Johnny figures the half-siblings killed her for the inheritance. Just then, the older sister comes over to talk. She asks Somi if she is okay and what happened to her. Johnny just plays it off, claiming she was drunk and cannot remember. She assumes the sister is just trying to see what she knows. But then the sister grabs her hand, thanking her for returning. Looking at her face, Johnny thinks she seems genuinely worried. She even finds herself thinking the sister is kind of cute. From outside the room, the brother watches them suspiciously. Meanwhile, Somi's sister is startled by something. She thinks her brother would get rid of her too if she got in his way. She is terrified, thinking about how she almost lost her sister. But then someone calls her sis, which confuses her. It is Johnny, comforting her and telling her not to cry. This sister is confused, wondering if Somi always talked like this. Later, Johnny calls Jay to see if he is okay. She is shocked to hear a hitman came after him. She realizes the same person is behind both of their attacks. Jay says he thinks he knows who it is anyway. He tells her they need to take care of that guy first. Johnny then brings up his plan to get revenge on Union. She asks what he is going to do since his old company is gone. Jay just says he figured she would tell him what to do. She is surprised he has no plan but says there is a fastest way. Her idea is to just take over an existing business. Jay seems to be seriously considering her suggestion. Later, he regrets not asking the hitman about his organization. While brushing his teeth, he suddenly hears a noise. There is a loud banging coming from his front door. He wonders if the hitman he warned actually came back, but someone is yelling his name and he recognizes the voice. He opens the door to find those two loan sharks from before. They nervously tell him they are here to collect the debt, but then their boss appears and tells them to move. Jay is a little surprised to see them with a boss. This new guy introduces himself as head of the loan company. He then says he has found an existing business. This guy clearly has money, judging by his nice car. He takes a drag from his vape, about to make a proposal. A loan shark boss is furious his guys did not bring back money. His underlings apologize, looking pretty beat up. He is even more mad they got beaten up by the debtor. One of his other guys kicks the man for making excuses. This guy insists the debtor was like ex-special forces. Fed up, the boss decides he will go himself. He says he wants to see this tough guy right now, so he shows up at Jay's apartment to confront him. He does not look impressed and tells Jay to come with them. This boss gets right in his face, threatening him. His men are all thinking a fight is about to start, but to everyone's surprise, Jay just agrees to go. This whole crew is stunned that he folded so easily. This boss just smirks, thinking Jay got scared. They take him to some kind of industrial warehouse. Two loan sharks wonder why their target came so quietly. This guy is just sitting there, tied to a chair. He calmly looks around the room they brought him to. He even makes a comment about the building's utility costs. Then he casually asks how much the rent is. This boss of the operation finally comes to face him. He is annoyed the kid is asking about real estate. This boss explains they make money from interest payments, but with delinquents he says it is better to just get the principal. He tells the kid to pay up and get it over with. This boss suggests calling everyone he knows for the money, but the kid knows no one would lend him money now. This boss says that is why he needs to sound desperate, and his guys are going to help him sound that way. They immediately start beating him with a bat. A man in a suit listens intently to a phone call. On the other end, a hostage is begging for his life. This man in the suit just smirks, telling his men to give the phone back, so they hand the phone over to the guy tied to the chair. He is forced to call someone with intense red eyes, but then the hostage gets smashed in the head. This guy from the phone is here and he is attacking everyone. He is beating a man senseless as others look on in shock. He just keeps smashing the guy with the phone. This man screams as he is brutally beaten down. He is left on the ground, clutching his eyes in pain. The sounds of the fight echo through the warehouse. This attacker then walks past the bodies toward the boss. This boss starts screaming for his backup to get in there, but his men outside just pretend they cannot hear a thing. This boss just cracks his knuckles, ready to fight himself. He immediately launches a flying kick at the guy. This attacker takes a hard punch right to the jaw. This boss is surprisingly fast, throwing another quick punch. This attacker's eyes widen, not expecting this speed. He gets hit again, this time right in the temple. This guy realizes this boss is actually pretty strong. This boss is also surprised he blocked some of his hits. He thinks the guy is just a gym rat with no real experience. But the attacker easily dodges his next kick. Then the boss gets punched hard in the face. This attacker follows up with another brutal hit. He then lands a solid blow to the boss's stomach. A powerful kick sends the boss flying backwards. And just like that, the boss is down for the count. Jay just keeps punching the lone shark boss. He smashes the guy's face right into the ground. Jay says his voice still does not sound desperate enough. This boss looks up, completely terrified. He starts begging Jay to stop so they can talk. Jay calmly asks if he wants to talk business. A little later, Jay announces he is taking over the company. This boss asks if this is some kind of hostile takeover. Jay just says this is how the Underworld works. This boss is surprised and offers to explain the situation. He says two groups, Xiaoguang and Dongsun, rule Seoul. His company is in Xiaoguang's territory, so they pay tribute. Jay gets some water, asking what the boss's point is. This boss warns him that Xiaoguang will kill him for this. Jay just sips his water, saying he will take Xiaoguang too. This boss explains that two groups control Seoul's underworld. Jay just casually says he understands the scale of it. Then he declares he is going to take over both of them. This boss is stunned, thinking Jay is totally insane. But Jay just stares back, looking completely serious. Suddenly, someone yells that Xiaoguang is here to collect. This boss is clearly annoyed by the interruption. A man from Xiaoguang walks in, calling for Boss Speak. Boss Speak tells Jay to wait while he handles this. Jay just watches them without saying a word. Boss Speak nervously greets the man manager Kim. Kim immediately asks what happened to his bruised face. He says whatever, he is just here to collect the money. But Boss Speak tells him he is not getting paid today. Then Jay steps in, saying this is his business now. Jay announces they are not paying tribute to Xiaoguang anymore. This lone shark boss is furious, wishing Jay would just stay quiet. A new guy shows up and asks who Jay is. He is confused why a debtor is talking with so much authority. So he kicks the lone shark boss, demanding a proper explanation. This boss just says it is too embarrassing to talk about. This man asks if he sided with Jay, who just took over the company. Panicked, the boss promises he will explain everything right away. But suddenly Jay attacks the new guy with a flying kick. He tells the man to stop treating the boss so poorly. This lone shark boss is worried but also finds it satisfying. Jay asks the man if he is from Dongsun for invading their territory. After beating him down, Jay says he is not from Dongsun. He then declares this is his territory now. This original boss watches, wondering what Jay is planning. This Xiaoguang guy is confused why Jay is letting him go. He just grits his teeth and says fine. As he runs off, he promises to tell his company what happened. Boss Beak realizes he will be blamed if that guy goes back alone. He offers to go and properly explain the situation, so he and his man quickly run out after them. Jay is just left standing there watching them all leave. Outside, Boss Beak tries to stop manager Kim at his car. Kim is furious, telling Beak his little scheme is over. Beak begs for a moment to explain, and Kim agrees to listen. He says Jay was a debtor who suddenly beat up everyone. Then he explains Jay took over just as they arrived. Kim finds it hard to believe one guy took everyone down. Beak promises to call all his branch employees to deal with Jay. With that, manager Kim just drives off into the night. Outside, Boss Beak tells his men to stay out of it. He thinks Jay is finished once the Xiaoguang guys arrive. Back inside, Jay asks if the talk with Xiaoguang went well. Beak says he explained it all and tries to leave. But Jay stops him, wanting to talk a bit more. This boss is secretly just trying to stall for time. He brings up Jay's plan to take over Seoul's underworld. He asks if Jay is after money or power. Jay says he wants to destroy a group called the Union. This boss asks why he is taking their company then. Suddenly, a car screeches to a halt outside. A whole bunch of guys in suits start piling out. It is a crew of enforcers, and they are all armed. They walk right up to the warehouse doors. This doors burst open as their leader yells for them to come out. Boss Beak asks Jay what he is going to do now. He is smiling, thinking Jay is completely finished. This Xiaoguang guy says this is their official answer, then he just screams for his men to kill him. This whole crew rushes at Jay with their bats, but Jay does not even look slightly concerned. A little while later, everything outside is quiet. Inside, Jay stands alone, surrounded by bodies. Boss Beak is in total shock at how strong he is. Jay calmly walks over the bodies toward the leader. He holds a bat to the guy's face, repeating his terms. He then asks if the message is clear this time. This terrified man quickly says he understands perfectly. Jay just looks down at him and says so. This guy looks up to see another one of his men. Boss Beak remembers the order to kill Jay, but he realized something was wrong just from the sound. This bat hitting Jay's head did not sound right at all. This guy swinging the bat was shocked by Jay's speed. Turns out Jay just casually caught the bat mid-swing. Now he is standing over the guy who is begging for his life. Jay shoves the bloody bat right into the man's mouth. He says he is tired of this and tells them all to leave. So manager Kim and his crew just ran away. Before leaving, Jay saved his number in Beek's phone. Boss Beek cannot believe Jay is acting like his new boss. His men come back asking if Jay was taken care of. Beek tells them it is actually the other way around. They ask why he is not fighting back, so he dares them to try. Then he just tells everyone to take a few days off. Boss Beek knows manager Kim is going to report what happened, and he knows that guy will try to wipe them all out. Elsewhere, manager Kim is clutching his dislocated jaw. He is reporting to his superior, who is annoyed by the visit. This new guy, Manager Bang, says this better be worth it. A bruised manager Kim just nervously agrees. So in this fancy restaurant, Kim begins his report. He explains how a debtor took over and beat up their crew. Manager Bang sips his wine and asks for a simpler explanation. He simplifies it himself. Platinum Finance attacked them. Their internal problems do not matter, only that they were attacked. With a glare, he says someone has to take responsibility. He orders them to grab Boss Beek, who is already trying to run. Meanwhile, Jay is in a car just turning on the radio. He just drives, looking like he agrees with the radio. Meanwhile, Boss Beek drives off, thinking about enduring tough times. He's just not sure when his troubles will ever pass. He wonders what you're even supposed to do in a situation like this. Suddenly, he slams on the brakes with a grim look. Another car has cut him off and two men get out. One of them gets on the phone, reporting that they have secured Beek. A little later, we see Beek looking even more beaten up. A man in a suit, Manager Bang, stands over him. Beek remembers trying to run but getting caught immediately. Manager Bang tells him someone needs to take responsibility. He orders Beek to bring him Jin Yihyun, which is Jay's real name, and he says he does not care how Beek makes it happen. So now Beek nervously makes a phone call to Jay. Jay picks up, correcting him that it is a report, not a chat. Beek just begs him to come to the company right away. This blonde guy tries to figure out how to trick the caller, but the person on the phone immediately asks if he has been captured. It is Jin Yihyun, who tells him to just say of course. He then calmly says he is on his way over. This call ends, leaving the blonde guy completely stunned. Boss Beek asks what happened, and the guy says he is coming. He stares at the phone, wondering why he'd come to rescue him. Meanwhile, Jin Yihyun arrives outside the building. He realizes he cannot get a taxi because the area is so remote. Elsewhere, some guys are waiting, confident in Manager Bang. One of them explains that Manager Bang is actually very skilled. Apparently, his faction lost in a company power struggle, but Bang stuck to his beliefs, which taught the guy a lesson. His friend asks him what he learned from all that. He says he learned to let go of a rotten rope and find a new one. Some of Beek's men spot someone approaching, and it is Jay speeding in on a scooter. This guy asks his manager what they should do, but the manager pulls a knife, vowing to fight back. A moment later, all three are on the ground. Jay considers taking the knife with him. Meanwhile, a man inside spots Jay outside. He does not think Jay looks strong at all. Jay calmly says he is here to rescue his employee. Boss Beek is shocked to hear him say that. This new guy accuses Beek of working with Jay. Boss Beek is furious, thinking Jay is insane. He is furious that Jay is acting like his boss. But Jay just tells him to stay in the corner. Defeated, Beek just agrees and walks away. Manager Bang glares over at the blonde guy. He says his conclusion about him was right. This guy realizes he is completely screwed now. Suddenly, someone rushes in at high speed. It is Jay lunging at Manager Bang with a knife. But Manager Bang manages to dodge the attack. Jay's eyes are locked on his target, though. He immediately follows up with another move. Jay smashes the knife's handle into his shoulder. Then he unleashes a whole flurry of attacks. After a moment, Jay stands back ready. Manager Bang thinks it looks like he took a beating, but he knows none of the hits actually landed. He compares Jay to a shield that cannot be broken. Jay just flips the knife, ready for the real fight. He thinks he just needs to land one good scratch, but he is shocked to see Jay coming right at him. Jay ducks under his arm and slashes with the knife. He gets a clean cut right across the guy's forehead. This was intentional since forehead cuts bleed a lot. It is a tactic used to obscure an opponent's vision, and now Manager Bang can barely see. With his vision blurred, his reactions are way too slow. He stumbles forward, completely disoriented. Jay easily kicks the knife right out of his hand. This weapon goes spinning through the air, then it just clatters onto the floor. This blonde guy cannot believe what just happened. Manager Bang wipes the blood away, saying the fun is over. He straightens his tie, ready to fight properly now. Jay lands a heavy punch right on Manager Bang. He follows it up with a powerful kick to the stomach, but Bang just calmly adjusts his glasses. He even compliments Jay, saying he is doing well. Then he declares he is going to fight properly now. And he sends Jay flying back with a massive punch. Jay is stunned, realizing this guy's power is no joke. Manager Bang immediately closes in for another attack. Jay is forced to block a furious barrage of punches. This blonde guy watching has never seen Bang go this hard. Jay thinks Bang's power is incredible but also reckless. He wonders if that first hit just made him lose his cool. Now he thinks Bang is just charging like a wild boar. This two of them continue to trade heavy blows. Suddenly, Manager Bang's eyes start glowing red. One of the guys swings a pipe right at Jay's head, but Jay takes the hit to his side instead. He immediately counters with a punch to the guy's face. This blow sends the man flying backwards, spitting blood. Now 2 more of the enforcers are down on the floor. Manager Bang wipes some blood from his own head. He realizes Jay took that hit on purpose to lower his guard. He then turns to his blonde-haired subordinate. Bang says he will have to hold him responsible for this mess too. He tells the guy to put the knife away, holding out his hand. This blonde guy just curses, clearly annoyed by the order, but then Manager Bang's eyes go wide. He sees Jay's reflection in his glasses right behind him. Jay comes flying in with a powerful kick. This kick lands right on Bang's head, knocking him down. Jay holds out his hand, asking for the knife. This blonde guy looks stunned but hands it over. With Manager Bang on the floor, Jay says he is having fun. He expertly flips the knife around in his hand, then he just starts stabbing Bang over and over. Manager Bang can only scream out in pain. Jay explains he purposely avoided all the internal organs. He warns Bang not to do anything stupid like chase them, but Bang threatens that the company will hunt him down. This blonde guy watches all this, completely bewildered. He has no idea what he is supposed to do now. Jay tosses the knife back, suggesting they go eat. He then tells the blonde guy that he needs to drive. And so the 2 of them ride off on the scooter. While the blonde guy stresses, Jay just wonders what to eat. Sometime later, they are at a 24-hour McDonald's. This blonde guy is pretty surprised they are just eating burgers. Jay just asks if he is going to eat his food or not. This guy then asks what Jay plans to do about Manager Bang. Jay calmly says he will take over their company and the Underworld. His new companion cannot tell if he is being serious. He flashes back to a time he saw Jay in a fight. It was an absolutely brutal beatdown. He admits that he knows Jay is incredibly strong, but he says being strong and building a company are different. He knows this from his own experience running a business. Jay points out it is too dangerous for the guy to go home, so he just invites him to come stay at his place instead. And so they head back to Jay's apartment. This blonde guy is already wondering what he's gotten himself into. Meanwhile, a guy on his phone sighs about his situation. His blonde roommate tells him someone is coming over later. He explains it is his business partner who is on their way. Elsewhere in the city, a woman is on a crowded bus. She looks pretty tired after a long day. Arriving at her building, she thinks about quitting her job. She heads inside and calls for the elevator. While waiting, another woman with pink hair shows up. This first woman gives her a quick glance. This pink-haired woman is surprised to see a new pretty face. She then notices the other woman press the 3rd floor button. It turns out they are both going to the same floor. This elevator starts heading up to the 3rd floor. This pink-haired woman knocks on a door, telling them to open up. This other woman is stunned, realizing she is at that same apartment. A woman walks in with Jay, saying she brought some beer. She comments on how much she likes the beer selection here. This blonde guy Jumti thinks she is really pretty. She holds up her can with a little smile, then she pops it open, ready to talk over a drink. They all sit down and Jay points out she still bought an American beer. She introduces herself as Somi and offers Jumti a drink. Jumti then asks if she and Jay are maybe dating. Both of them are pretty surprised by that question. Somi just laughs and playfully puts her arm around Jay, but Jay shoves her off, insisting they are just colleagues. Somi then asks why Jay brought Jumti here in the first place. He explains that Jumti was kidnapped and has nowhere else to go. She tells him not to worry about money since her new dad is super rich. Jumti thinks her comment about a rich new dad sounds a bit strange. Somi tells Jay to go ahead and find them an office. After they finish their beers, it is time to sleep. Jay offers Jumti the bed, saying he is a guest. Somi complains she is too tired to go home now. Jumti just cannot figure Jay out at all. Suddenly, Somi just plops down in bed right next to him. She says she is not sleeping on the floor again, so the 3 of them all settle down for the night, but Jumti is wide awake with Somi next to him. She, on the other hand, is sleeping peacefully. He just cannot believe this is happening. This whole sleeping arrangement is just too weird. Finally, he sits up, unable to get any rest. He gets up to grab a drink of water, but he is still way too stressed out to sleep. Jumti watches Jay, thinking he is sleeping soundly. He wonders if killing Jay would get him back in Xiaoguang's good graces. With that thought, he quietly gets out of bed. He pulls out the knife, not wanting to die for this guy's plan. Jumti stands over Jay, hesitating for a moment, but then he remembers getting a call when he was captured. He recalls Jay showing up, saying he came to save him. Back in the present, he is annoyed that he is remembering this now. He gives up on the idea and just throws the knife in the trash. Instead, he decides to play along and slip away when he can. He lies back down, deciding to figure out the rest later. And so the 3 of them are all asleep in the apartment. A little while later, the clock ticks on into the night, but it turns out Somi is wide awake next to him. And across the room, Jay is awake too, just staring at the ceiling. Meanwhile, Manager Bang is lying in a hospital bed. He's been taken to a large university hospital to recover. We see him sitting up, all bandaged and in pajamas. He's just staring blankly into the room. A little earlier, another manager was reviewing a report. This guy Choi is now visiting Bang in the hospital. He explains that Platinum Finance brings in no money, so his conclusion is to just drop the whole case. Choi says it is not worth the cost to go after Jay. Bang cannot believe they just let it go like that. He yells that their own people were attacked, but Choi just sighs, completely unmoved by his outburst. Bang says in the old days they'd always get revenge. Choi just calls that way of thinking old-fashioned. This answer makes Manager Bang absolutely furious. Meanwhile, manager Bang thinks about the company's decision. He wonders if it is because he was on the wrong political side. Lying in a hospital bed, he recalls another manager. Bang starts to wonder if he even fits in anymore. He flashes back to a time he was called old-fashioned. Then he remembers a young man who came to save him. Back in the present, he reflects on that kind of loyalty. This next morning, the sun shines through a window. Jay sits up in bed looking a little groggy. He then sees Jumti and Somi sleeping together. Her arm is wrapped right around him. They both look pretty peaceful, actually. But then Jumti wakes up and completely freaks out. His yelling wakes up Somi, who complains about the noise. Jay just says since they are up, it is time for breakfast. Jumti wonders what kind of breakfast Jay has in mind. Turns out they are just going to McDonald's. He watches them eat, thinking they are a bit strange. Suddenly, Somi's phone starts ringing. She answers and tells the person on the line to come get her. Jay asks who it was, and she says it was her chauffeur. Jumti is pretty surprised to hear she has a personal driver. She explains her dad was worried and sent someone to pick her up. Jumti still thinks she is just putting on an act. He is convinced she is pretty but also a little nuts. Just then, Somi points out that her ride is here. Jumti looks outside and sees a fancy car pulling up. Jay says he is going to go look for an office now. Somi waves goodbye, telling the two of them to have fun. A driver in a suit opens the door and Jumti realizes she might be for real. Jumti is still thinking about Somi being a chaebol's daughter. Just then his phone starts ringing. It is an unknown number, but he answers it anyway. On the other end is manager Bang getting dressed to leave the hospital. Jumti is shocked and Bang asks if he is with Jay right now. He confirms that he is a little confused. Bang tells him he is coming to meet them immediately. Meanwhile, a fancy car is driving through the city. Inside, Somi asks the driver if they are heading home, but the driver says her father wants her at the company. She starts to wonder just how big this company is, and then they pull up to this absolutely massive skyscraper. Somi looks out the window, completely blown away. This car pulls right up to the front entrance. A man greets her, saying he works for her older brother. Somi thinks about an annoying guy with glasses. A man in a suit offers to escort her to the chairman's office. He says Director Han was concerned since she does not visit often. She immediately realizes he was just sent to spy on her, so she just tells him to leave, which surprises him. She says she already has a guide and asks her driver, Mr. Kim. This suit gets annoyed and tells Mr. Kim to back off. Somi immediately steps in, asking what he is doing. Her eyes glow as she asks who he is to talk to her driver that way. She says disrespecting him is disrespecting her, and he quickly apologizes. She tells him again that they can find the office themselves. He is sweating but still insists he should go with them. She asks if Director Han told him to eavesdrop on her. She sarcastically wonders if she should ask for a job at the company. Then she tells him to stop the tricks and walks off with her driver. A man in a suit stands next to a very fancy car. In a flashback, we see Somi walking into a corporate building. Everyone there is whispering about the chairman's daughter. She and an older man get into an elevator together. He comments that she seems to have changed a lot. Somi thinks to herself that she is literally a different person. Back in the present, that man is reporting to an executive. He says that Somi felt like a completely different person. This executive, Han Juseok, thinks she has been acting insane. He even recalls a time he was ordered to kill her. This conversation shifts to a new contractor they have hired. Juseok explains he connected with a top underworld group. This deal is tied to a big construction project bid. He tells his subordinate to go ahead with the plan. This name of that underworld company is Xiaogwang. And it turns out manager Bang from Xiaogwang wants to meet. Jumti explains to Jay that Bang just called him out of nowhere. Jay thinks it is safer for Bang to come to them anyway. He is carefully considering all the possibilities. He knows Bang might bring an ambush, but a public place limits him, so he tells Jumti to just invite him over. Jay is not worried since Bang is still recovering from his stab wound. Jumti is still nervous, but Jay tells him to send the address. A little while later, a burger is waiting on the table, and sure enough, manager Bang arrives to meet them. Both Bang and Jumti look incredibly tense about this. Jay, on the other hand, seems completely relaxed. He tells Bang to eat, saying he needs protein to recover. Manager Bang picks up the burger, surprised by how heavy it is. Manager Bang takes a big bite of his burger. Jumti just watches, thinking how neatly he eats. After a moment, Bang has finished the whole thing. He seems to have really enjoyed it too. Jay asks why he is here, but Bang turns it around on him. He asks if Jay is really planning to fight Xiaogwang. Jay says he is tired of talking and is just going to do it. So Jumti explains Jay's plan to dominate the underworld. Bang just smirks at this grand ambition, then he just starts laughing out loud. He says it sounds crazy, but it also makes a weird kind of sense. Then he asks if Jay needs more people for his company. Jay says the more the better, since they have big things to do. Hearing that, Bang says he'd like to join their company. Jumti is completely stunned by this sudden decision. Bang asks about Jay's current company, but Jay says switching is no big deal. Jay points out that Bang used to be super loyal to his old company. Bang is a little surprised that Jay actually listened to him. He admits that yeah, he really did believe in his company. But then he was told that Platinum Finance was not making enough money, so the company decided it was a loss to keep chasing after Jay. Jumti realizes this means Xiaoguang will not be after him anymore. Jae gets why he'd quit but asks why he wants to join them. Bang says he saw Jae save Jumti and wants that kind of loyalty. Jae is a little flattered and says he'd be grateful to have him, but he explains they do not have an office yet and asks him to wait. With that, they shake hands, sealing the deal. After Bang leaves, Jae just comments that the burger was good. Then he and Jumti start walking away from the restaurant. Jumti thinks it is crazy that they are now working together. Jumti worries if manager Bang joins, he will have another boss. But then he remembers he is planning to run away anyway. Still, he asks Jae if Bang will be his boss, and Jae says number Jae explains that Jumti was a boss while Bang is just a manager. So of course Jumti would be ranked higher. Jumti thinks about it and decides that is not a bad deal. Meanwhile, Somi's dad is lecturing her for staying out all night. He asks if she knows how worried he was and she apologizes. She explains she was with a friend who is also a business partner. Her dad is surprised to hear she is starting her own business. She asks if he could help them get an office since they are broke. He is overjoyed and says of course he will help his daughter. Then he asks what kind of business she is planning. She thinks about her real goal, taking over the Underworld. But she just tells him it is business and he seems interested. She thinks she needs a business they would never actually do. So she blurts out that she is going to make video games. She admits to herself she just made that up on the spot. Her dad then offers to give her seed funding for it. Somi hesitates, knowing that taking an investment is serious. She knows her dad would not pressure her, but it is still a big deal. She explains they want to start small, but they do need money. So he agrees to give her an allowance instead, and she is grateful. He is just glad she understands how serious money is. But he tells her there is one condition for the money. He complains that startup kids do not wear suits anymore. He says suits are like armor for the business world. Somi thinks that is a really outdated way of thinking, but he tells her to look up old photos of famous CEOs. He says they all wore suits before they built their empires. He tells her to wear armor while spending his money. She thinks about her past life and totally gets it. He tells her to ask her older sister about the office, so she calls her sister Jukyoung to their dad's office. Her sister Jukyoung arrives, happy to see her there. Somi thinks her sister is not scheming with their brother. Her dad asks Jukyoung about an empty office in her building. Jukyoung confirms there is a vacancy and Somi is stunned. Their dad tells Jukyoung to give Somi the office for her startup. Jukyoung is happy to help, surprised Somi likes games. But then he asks Jukyoung to check in on Somi's company. He wants her to make sure they are actually working. Somi realizes her sister will now be watching her. She thinks to herself that this just got complicated. Standing outside, she decides to call Jae. Somi is on the phone saying she got an office and money, but she had to tell her dad they are making video games. Jae points out that she does not even play video games, so now she says they need to find a developer immediately. Jae is totally confused, asking where they'd find someone. Somi just says they need the money for their company anyway. She tells him they will figure it out when they meet up later. After hanging up, Jae just sighs, wondering what is happening. Jumti then tells Jae that he is going to head out. He figures since Xiaoguang is not after them, he can go home. Jae agrees and says he will be in touch with him later. Jumti agrees, but he is secretly planning to disappear. He gets in a taxi, deciding to head back to his old office. He is relieved, thinking everything is finally back to normal, and with that he thinks Platinum Finance is back in business. Manager Bang looks completely shocked. He arrives to find his entire office has been burned down. He is furious, thinking Xiaoguang did this to him. Luckily, his important documents were stored somewhere else. But his entire company is just a pile of ash now. He decides to call his employees to figure things out. This first guy he calls immediately says he is quitting. He calls the rest of his team, but they all say the same thing. Every single one of them refuses to come back to work. He desperately begs one of them not to hang up. He just wants to know why everyone is abandoning him. This employee reveals that Xiaoguang scouted all of them. They were all convinced to quit working for Platinum Finance. Xiaoguang told them they would not be able to operate anyway. Their plan was to completely starve his company to death. This employee even tells Jumti he should find another job. After hanging up, Jumti just stands alone in his ruined office. He thinks that the burned-down building is not what hurts most. It is the fact that every single one of his employees abandoned him. With no one left, he decides to call Jae. Jae picks up and asks where he is, suggesting they get dinner. He thinks to himself that Jumti probably does not have any friends. Jumti asks about burgers, but Jae suggests they get beer instead, so they end up meeting at a bar. Jumti immediately starts chugging a huge mug of beer. He slams the empty mug down, letting out a sigh of relief. Then he starts eating some of the food. He seems to be feeling a little better already. He looks over at Jae, blaming him for what happened. But then he realizes it is his own fault his employees left. Jae asks Jumti what is wrong since he looks deep in thought. Jumti explains that his company, Platinum Finance, is gone. He says the office was burned down, probably by Xiaoguang, and all his employees were poached, so there is nothing left. But Jae tells him that is not true because he still has him. Jumti does not know what to say to that. He is flustered and asks what Jae is even talking about. He says he does not get it since they barely know each other. He remembers how Jae brutally beat him up in the past. And then how Jae just announced he was taking over his company. Jumti points out that Jae stole his company but then saved him. He thanks him for his words, but he is still confused. He asks if they are really close enough for Jay to say that. Jay explains that in his previous life he always lived alone, so he admits he does not really know how to get close to anyone. Jay admits he pushed people away but had one friend. He remembers a guy who always stuck by his side. He tells Jumti that is why he wants to be close. Jumti is stunned that Jay wants that kind of bond. He chugs his beer, thinking about true loyalty. He admits that normally he'd find this kind of talk cheesy, but after losing everyone, Jay's words really hit home. He asks to call Jay bro, but Jay insists on boss. So Jumti gets fired up, agreeing to get that close. Jay just gives him a small, knowing smile. With that, they clink their glasses and make a toast. Jumti then asks about the phone call about a game. Jay explains Somi lied about making games to get an office. Now they actually have to make one, and Jumti is baffled. But then Jumti says he might actually know someone. Jay says he knows a guy who'd love to make a game. Meanwhile, over at the SG Tower, Manager Bang walks purposefully down the hall. He is heading into a meeting looking determined. He is greeted by Xiaoguang's director Joe. This director is the real power behind the company. Bang is there to officially hand in his resignation. He knows this man has the chairman's full support. He places the resignation letter on the desk. This director feigns surprise, but Bang is not buying it. Director Joe plays innocent, asking why he'd want him gone. He even brings up Bang's old nickname, Bulldozer. Bang replies that a finished building does not need a bulldozer. This only other use for one is for demolition. This director then asks if he is going to join a rival. Bang says he knows the director is just pretending. He tells him he is like a kite with a cut string now. Then he straight up accuses him of killing Director Jang. Director Joe just smiles, claiming it was just an accident. Bang is disgusted by how shameless the director is. He is done talking and just turns to leave the office. This door slams shut behind him. Director Joe is actually surprised that Bang walked out. He wonders what Bang is planning to do now. Meanwhile, Bang walks confidently down the hallway. He runs into another employee who questions him. This guy tells him that complaining will not change anything. He even insults Bang about his old gangster days. Bang just walks past him with a menacing glare. This other guy is completely terrified by his aura, but on his way out someone confronts him, so Bang just kicks the guy right in the stomach. This man goes flying backwards from the impact. He gets up furious, asking what Bang thinks he is doing. This guy tries to tell him to wait, looking pretty scared, but Bang just grabs him by the collar and yanks him up. This man on the ground asks if Bang has gone crazy. He threatens to report this whole incident to management. Bang just gets right in his face, looking menacing. Then he simply tells the guy that he has already quit. He says the company's power struggles have nothing to do with him. And he warns the guy not to talk to him like that again. As he walks away, he tells him to just stay away, because if he sees him again, he will kill him. Meanwhile, we see the outside of a production company building. Somi asks Jumti how he knows a game developer. He casually says it is someone who owed him money. This guy used to work at a big company but quit to go indie. Unfortunately, he got betrayed and ended up deep in debt. Somi immediately tells Jumti to sell her that guy's debt. She is surprised by his chill attitude about his own company. Jay asks how she got Jumti to follow her so easily. She explains her plan, forgive the debt for a new game. Later, they meet the developer Lee Min Sang. He is totally confused, thinking it is some kind of prank. They assure him that the offer is completely serious. Somi starts laying out the terms, including a salary, and once the game is done, his entire loan will be erased. But she warns him the deal is off if he is half-hearted. He fires back that he would never make a bad game. Jay just listens to the guy's question. This developer asks them what the game's concept is. Jay tells him to make whatever game he wants to make. He says that is their concept and the developer is stunned. This guy bows, thanking Jay for giving him this chance. Somi watches, wondering if Jay is actually putting in effort, or maybe this is just the kind of person he has always been. This developer then asks where he should report for work. He agrees to go with them to see the new office. As they walk, he is still suspicious about the offer. It feels too much like a fantasy he has been having. He remembers the warning about people who say what you want to hear. Plus, a loan shark introduced them, so it could be a scam. Just then, Somi announces that they have arrived. This developer looks up, completely shocked by the building. He thinks they must be pointing at a random building, but Somi just tells everyone to head on inside. And the office they walk into is huge and modern. This developer thinks this place is way too nice. Jay explains they bought all the furniture from the last tenant. Jumti then says he is going to use the restroom. This developer quickly says he will go with him, so they both head into the men's room. Jumti makes a comment about drinking too much coffee. This developer asks if Jumti is really closing his business. He then asks if this whole thing is some kind of scam. He just cannot believe the offer is real. But Jumti points out that he has nothing left to scam. He says if there was money to take, he'd have done it already. This developer realizes that Jumti has a point. Jumti tells the developer to get used to unbelievable things. Somi then asks Jay if he is really okay with all this. Jay points out that hiring a team will cost a fortune, but Somi reveals the chairman is funding them with billions. She adds that they even got this expensive office for free. Somi admits she could just live a comfortable, easy life, but she cannot forget the people who killed them. Jay smiles, thanking her for sticking with the plan. Now that the office is ready, he says it is time to make a call. Meanwhile, back at SG, someone is laughing about Bang. An employee asks Director Joe if they should just let him go. This director says Bang quit, so there is nothing to do. But the employee worries Bang might do something crazy. Director Joe's expression suddenly gets serious. This guy suggests they should probably get rid of him. Director Joe tells manager Choi he has become a thug too, but Choi warns him that Bang is no pushover. This director complains about spending more money to catch him. He is worried about his reputation if they fail. Choi admits he is scared because Bang threatened to kill him. So the director comes up with a new, ruthless plan. Meanwhile, some former Platinum employees are in a basement. They are confused about why they have been stuck down there. A couple of them think they should just wait for orders. Just then, manager Choi walks down the hall. This director reveals his plan. He does not care if they get hurt. Choi looks determined as he approaches the room. Turns out the director planned to get rid of these guys anyway. Choi enters and tells them they have an important job. He hands them a folder with their new assignment. A man orders his team to finish a job today. He leaves, slamming the door behind him. One of the guys opens a file looking concerned. Their target is none other than Manager Bang. They talk about how even Boss Beak was scared of him. One of them nervously asks how they can possibly catch him. But another guy sees this as their chance for a promotion. So the whole team gets fired up to take down Manager Bang. Meanwhile, we see an apartment building at night. Inside, Manager Bang is just relaxing on his couch. He is laughing at a news report about his old company, but the laugh makes his injuries ache from his last fight. Just then, his phone starts to ring. He answers, saying he is at home recovering. He tells the caller to just come over to his place. He checks his fridge but has nothing for his guest, so he heads out to a nearby convenience store, but the team sent to get him is waiting in a car. They see their chance and get out to follow him. Bang just casually walks into the store. This team leader knows a direct fight is a bad idea. He plans to have someone stab Bang from behind first. But when he asks for a volunteer, no one speaks up, so the leader decides he will do the ambush himself. Meanwhile, Bang is just picking out some beers. He walks out of the store with his purchase. This team leader waits for him around the corner. As Bang passes, the guy lunges with a knife. But Bang seems to notice something at the last second. He quickly dodges the surprise attack. This first attacker gets hit with incredible force. He is out cold on the pavement in an instant. Bang picks up the guy's knife, wondering who he is. He scans the area, still holding his groceries, and sure enough, he is not alone out there. A whole crew of guys in suits surrounds him. They hesitate for a moment, asking what to do. Then they decide to just rush him all at once. Bang just watches them come, completely unfazed. He moves in a blur, meeting their attack head-on. Two of the men are screaming in pain almost immediately. He lands a brutal punch on another guy's jaw. It is clear this fight is completely one-sided. Bang stands over them, asking who sent them. They are shocked, saying he was supposed to be injured. One of the attackers charges forward with a scream, but Bang clutches his side, his old wound acting up. An attacker takes the opening and stabs him. Bang is angry he let an attack like that land. Seeing that he is bleeding, the guy tells them to attack. This rest of the team gets ready to charge in, but Bang stands his ground holding a knife. Suddenly, a voice tells them all to hold on. This attackers stop, looking over in confusion. It is Jay speeding in on an electric scooter. One of the guys is shocked to see him there. Jay brings the scooter to a sharp stop. Bang asks how he found him, and Jay says he used a map. Bang then tells him his apartment is just down the road. Jay turns to the attackers, realizing Xiaoguang sent them. This team leader realizes he cannot possibly win now, so he just charges in, hoping for one clean hit. But Jay moves in a complete blur. He grabs the guy and slams him into the ground. Jay then turns to the other two guys watching. He tells them to take their friend and leave. A little later, they arrive at Bang's apartment. Bang is putting a cute cartoon bandage on his face. He complains it was the only one at the store. They sit down for a drink and Bang asks why Jay came. Jay reminds him he said he'd call when the office was ready. He holds out his hand, asking Bang to work with him. Bang agrees and they shake on the deal. He admits things with his old company were bad anyway. His original group was pushed out by internal politics. Bang explains he was the last of his original group. He then reveals Xiaoguang and Dongsun were once one organization. He tells Jay a story about a man who conquered the underworld. This guy took over all the gangs and built an empire, but he was bad at ruling, so his empire split in two. Bang crushes his can, asking if Jay sees how hard this is. Jay crushes his own, saying it gives him confidence. Bang points out that the original empire fell apart. Jay just says he will never stop conquering then. This answer leaves Bang completely speechless. He starts to think this kid might actually pull it off. Meanwhile, back at the SG tower, someone is yelling. It is the sound of someone getting punched hard. Manager Choi is furious his team could not take down Bang. He grabs his hair, calling them all pathetic weaklings. This guys who got beat are trying to save face. Manager Choi is annoyed that Jay interfered. He is also worried Bang knows he sent those guys, so he asks his men if they snitched on him. This guy's silence is not a good sign. It cuts to Jay questioning them after the fight. He asked if Manager Choi sent them and they said yes. Back in the present, the guy lies, saying they did not. He clarifies they answered when asked who sent them. Choi tells them they blew their chance for a promotion, then he just slams the door right on them. This team leader is furious, but his friend calms him down. He is then asked why he did not mention Jay's involvement. He says he kept quiet to avoid trouble with Boss Beak. His team agrees, wondering what Bang is planning now. Back at SG, Director Joe tells Choi not to worry about Bang. He scoffs, wondering what a guy like that could possibly do. Choi asks why the director hates Bang so much. This director demands absolute loyalty, which Choi happily promises. Satisfied, the director gives him a new job from HK. He explains they have to take someone out for a business deal. This target in the file is a young woman with pink hair. Choi is shocked to realize she is the HK chairman's daughter. This director just smirks about how ruthless corporate families are. He tells Choi to pick 2 of their best men for the job. As Choi walks away, he looks over the file again. He quietly wonders if they really need 2 people for her. Meanwhile, that same woman is with Jay talking business. She says they need to decide on a company name. Jay suggests the initials BB, and she asks what it stands for. Jay has a name for their new company, Bad Business. Somi is not so sure since it is a little too honest, so she suggests they just call it BB Company instead. Jay seems to like the sound of that. Later on, someone asks what BB stands for. Somi tells a potential client it means brave and bold. This man is impressed and tells her to live up to it. After the meeting, she sighs, feeling the pressure. Just then, her phone starts to ring. She answers the call with a professional smile. It is her driver calling from the parking garage. He tells her that someone slashed her car's tires. Somi immediately realizes this was done on purpose. She tells the driver she will get home on her own. So now she is out on the street alone at night. She knew at the moment she stepped outside, someone was definitely tailing her. It is a classic tactic: disable the car to create an opening. This is especially useful to separate a target from their driver. By splitting them up, the target becomes much more vulnerable. But Somi has a plan, grabbing a large metal tumbler. She asks a cafe to fill it with a piping hot coffee. Now she is walking down the street with her followers close by. She suddenly ducks into a dark alley, surprising them. One of the guys quickly runs in right after her. He looks pretty sure he has her cornered now. He finds her and makes a threat about her coffee, so she just throws the scalding hot drink in his face. This guy screams, clutching his burning eyes. Then she smashes him hard with the heavy tumbler. She has already taken one of the attackers down. This other guy is shocked to see his partner on the ground. He gets angry and pulls out a knife. Somi calmly tells him to think about what he is doing, but he just ignores her and charges forward. She just smirks, calling his behavior brainless.